Hey guys, welcome back to the ninth video of the Python Tutorials for Beginners series. In this video, we'll be talking about Python lists. So previously, we've discussed four data types in Python, which are integers, floats, strings, and booleans. So in this video, we'll be talking about Python lists. So to declare a list, let me first write a variable name, and then I'll type in square brackets. So square brackets denotes a Python list. Next, let me type in a few strings here. So here I've declared a Python list. So over here you can see that I have apple enclosed in double quotes. So this is a string. Here's pear enclosed in double quotes, which is also a string. And this is banana, also a string. All right. So each string in this Python list is an item. So we have in total 3 items in this Python list. And I have a string here and then a comma. So we need commas to separate each item in a list. And we need to also ensure that the entire list is surrounded by square brackets. So this is how you declare a Python list. Let's print this out. So you can see that it simply prints out the Python list that you have declared over here. So Python lists are very useful because it allows us to store a lot more data and allows us to process the data much more easily. Let's say instead of printing out the entire list, I want to print out only one item. So let's say I want to print out the first item, which is apple. To do that, I take fruits, and then I type in square brackets 0. So this is called an index. So I'm basically trying to find out the item by indexing it. So 0 is basically indexing the first element, which is over here. So when you're indexing, it actually starts from 0. So instead of calling it first element, you're supposed to call it the 0th element. But anyway, to index apple, I need to use 0. And you can see that it prints out apple, which is the string. You remember that this is a string because fruits index 0 references to this apple string, and this is a string. So the overall data type for fruits square bracket 0 is a string. Let's say instead I want to index the next element, which is pear. What I can do is I can replace this with 1. All right, and then run the code. You can see that I get pear. So essentially the important part here is that the first element is denoted by 0. So you can see that I have to put a 0 in the index to get apple. The next element is denoted 1 and the next one is denoted 2. So just ensure that your indexes start at 0 and it increases by 1 thereafter. Okay, so now let's talk about changing an element in a Python list. Let's say I want to replace pear with strawberry. To do that, what I can do is I can take fruits and then index the position of pear, which is 1, all right, because apple is 0 and pear is indexed 1. And then I'll just simply put equals and then put strawberries. And then let's print out the final Python list. So you can see here what we have done is that we have referenced the pear element and we changed it into strawberry. So I simply changed the pear string into the strawberry string, and then my new list now has strawberry. All right, so let's say I change this to 2. So 2 refers to this element, the banana element, and the banana element is replaced with strawberry, with the string strawberry. So that's why my final element is strawberry. So that's how you change elements in a Python list. You can call them either elements or items. In Python, it's usually called items, but yeah. So I want to cover an important error, which is, let me just show you. So it's called the index error. So the way it works is basically I have 3. So remember that apple is 0, and then pear is 1, banana is indexed 2, and then 3 is actually out of bounds. Like it's out of the Python list, so that's why it's out of range. So that's why you get an index error, list out of range, list index out of range. So if you ever get this error, you probably should check your indexes and make sure that it's like within the Python list. Otherwise, you'll get this error. So now let's talk about adding elements to a Python list. To do that, first you have to write in the Python list name, and then so basically I'm writing the variable name of the Python list followed by a dot followed by the word append. Append basically means add. So what I'm trying to do here is that I'm simply adding the strawberry string to the end of the Python list. So that's what append does. It basically adds the element to the end of the Python list. So let's run the code. So you can see that I have 4 elements now. So I have apple, pear, banana, and then strawberry has been added at the end of the Python list. There are other ways to add elements to a Python list, such as using the insert function, but I'll discuss this in a future video. So let me add another element to the list. Strawberry, let's say I put in mango. And let me also print the list before appending and after appending the elements. So you can see I get, so at first I have 3 elements, which is apple, pear, and banana, which is our initial list. And then I add strawberry. So you have strawberry here. And then after that, I add mango. So I have mango over here. And then my final Python list has 5 elements in total. So another thing is how to find the length of your Python list. You can do this by using the len function. So len fruits. All right. And then if you run the code, you see that we get 3, which is indeed true because we have 3 items in our Python list. So next, let's revisit our previous video, which is on strings. So and then I'll say my list string split by space. All right, so let's run the code. So you see here is that in our previous video we were covering string functions, and the split function basically splits the string at the location of the white space. Right, so here I have a white space, so you take the word welcome. So you see I print out the Python list, so I have welcome, and then 2 because this T and O, and then there's white space on either side of it, and then basically the string has been divided at the white space. All right, so I get a list in at the end. So let's say I want to reference the first word, so I use index 0, so I get the word welcome. All right, let's say I index 2, I get Python. Let's index 3, I get programming. Let's index 1, and I get the word 2. All right, so basically the string split function allows you to split a string, all right, and then you get a list at the end, and you can use the list and process it however you like. All right, so remember, if I change the character to something like T, let me print out the whole list. You can see that the string has been split at the location where there's a T. So I welcome and then space because the T is over here, and then O space pi because there's another T over here, and then I have HO and space programming. All right, so that's how the string function works. Let me just put it back to white space because it's more useful since it allows you to find the words in a sentence. All right, so you get all the words in a nice list, which you can then further process. So one more thing is that Python lists, right? They can actually have more than one data type. So here I've only used strings, but I can also add in, let me replace banana with uh, true. All right, so this is in fact still a valid Python list because Python lists allow you to have multiple data types. And so here I have strings and then a boolean. Let's replace paired with 1. So I have an integer here, 1.5, which is a float. So you see that it's still a valid Python list because you can have like or any data type in your Python list. But this is usually not a great idea because it makes it harder to process your Python lists. And generally, when you're doing Python projects, you won't really need Python lists with different data types. Usually, the data types will be the same. All right, so it's recommended to use Python lists with the same data types. All right, so that's pretty much it for this video. If you like this video, then please consider giving a like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.